So we got that. So then we're going to go through business communication framework today, very short lecture, and then we're going to go into a Zoom breakout discussion. I'm going to give you guys a lot more time than last week, so don't worry about that. We've got plenty of time to do that, and then I'll go over the check-ins and discussions and assignments coming up. Yes, you will have access to the slides. They are already on Canvas, so you can download those. And then after I'm done with the lecture video, I'll update the video later today. Link to sign-in sheet. Yes, let me get that. I'll get that for you guys when you're on your breakout session, okay? But thank you for reminding me about that. Any other questions before I get started? Okay, cool. All right, so establishing a framework, so very basic introduction to business communications. Your learning outcomes for this week are to define communication and describe the value for communication in business. Explain the communication process model and the ultimate objective of the communication process. Discuss how information flows in an organization and explain how legal and ethical constraints, diversity challenges, changing technology, and team environment act as contextual forces that influence the process of business communication. So first of all, communication, what is it? The purpose is to inform, persuade, and entertain. It holds a greater position in the workplace. It's extremely important in the workplace. In everything really, but in the workplace. So process of exchanging and interpreting information and meaning among individuals. It always involves a sender, a receiver, message, feedback, and interferences. So there's a formal and informal organizational communication. A formal communication network occurs as per the formal organization chart. And I actually have 2 examples of this at the end of the lecture, so you guys will see what an organization chart looks like. For those that are already in the workforce, you may already know what this is and have already seen it. It kind of says, you know, the CEO, president, director, who's underneath the director, maybe it's a coordinator, who's underneath the coordinators. So it's kind of like an organizational chart of who reports to who at the organization. An informal communication network develops as people interact with the formal system to accommodate their social and psychological needs. So here are some examples of internal communications and external communications. So here's a list. So it explains that a little bit better. Internal communications, the intranet, emails, meetings, training, newsletters, and phone calls. External is more like advertising, news releases, conferences, speaking engagements, thought leadership, content marketing, and email marketing. Additional types of communication, because there are so many different types now, especially with the more and more technology comes out. We have websites, social media, flyers, events, environmental marketing, word of mouth, job review sites, photography, videos, and there's probably even a few more that aren't even on this list. So some of the factors that can influence business communication are legal and ethical. So think about this in the workplace: international laws, domestic laws, code of ethics, stakeholder interests, ethical frameworks, and personal values. We go over this a lot in my social media class on what you can and can't post on social media, but it's all just another form of communication. Also, the changing technology is a major factor. Accuracy and security issues, telecommunications, which is becoming more and more, software applications, telecommuting, which again is becoming more and more, and databases. There's diversity challenges. If you guys have ever worked with people of different diversities in a workforce, you need to be able to collaborate with them and communicate with them. So there's cultural differences, language barriers, gender issues, education levels, age factors, and nonverbal differences. In the team environment, you have trust, team roles, shared goals and expectations, synergy, group reward, and distributed leadership. So some of the diversity challenges that we face: diversity skills affect one's success in today's global environment. Barriers to intercultural communication. So ethnocentrism, and there's a definition here for those that may not know what that means. It's the evaluation of other cultures according to preconceptions originating in the standards and customs of one's own culture. So not only do you need to be able to communicate with cultures when they come to the United States, but also when you travel outside of the United States. Say you go to a trade show in South America or Mexico, there's a different type of communication going around with the diversity in cultures. There's also stereotypes can be a challenge, interpretation of time, personal space requirements, body language, and translation limitations. So ways to improve your diversity skills, you develop cultural intelligence. Again, if you're traveling to another country, maybe you learn ahead of time a little bit about cultural intelligence, how they work. Global literacy competence model. You guys, if you want more details on what that is, you can visit the OER links, the electronic book resource that I gave you guys. This states that ascending to a higher level of global functioning is required for excellence in a cross-cultural environment. Technology. So electronic tools can help people in collecting and analyzing data. Just an example, quick example would be email marketing, email communication. All the email software out there, you can collect data and you can collect and analyze analytics. Shaping messages to be clearer and effective. Again, email marketing, shaping those messages, seeing maybe use different subject lines when you send an email out. And then you can look at the analytics in the report later and be like, oh, subject A, I had 50% opens, whereas subject B had 20% opens. So then I need to shape my message and wording to be clear and effective so that email is opened. Communicating quickly and efficiently with others in geographically dispersed locations. Telecommuting helps in reducing travel time and increasing work flexibility. For those working right now, we're all experiencing this. It's all Zoom meetings now. You don't have to drive to the office. I think it's a lot better personally because I've always worked for big companies that maybe some of you guys have experiences where you have a meeting and then you have the meeting and then you have a meeting to talk about what you just had a meeting on. And next thing you know, you wasted 4 hours of your day just talking about the same thing in a conference room. Whereas now, if you're on a Zoom call, you get through it a little quicker. You stick to your agenda more because you're not in person. You don't have those side conversations going on. And a 3 or 4 hour meeting turns now into a 45-minute meeting or a 1 hour meeting. Have you guys, any of you guys experienced any of that? For those who are in the workforce, Zoom meetings better? Maybe they're more entertaining. Maybe your Zoom meetings have gotten worse and they've gotten longer. But from what I could tell, they've been improving a little bit. Telecommuting is helping. Social media has definitely altered communication between organizations, communities, and individuals. Well, we have all seen that this year, am I right? Social media, a lot of people are taking social media breaks. Or you see a different side of someone on social media in the past 6 months. Team environments. Mainly talking about work teams, but if you think about it, there's teams all over the place, right? You have your school teams when you work on group projects. You have your work teams. Maybe you're a volunteer for a nonprofit, so you have your volunteer teams. You may have a group of friends with a hobby, and you create a team to do something. I know me with trail running, every once in a while we do a trail maintenance day, so we create a team on doing trail maintenance, so it's a volunteer project. So a team is a small group with complementary skills who work together for a common purpose. You could be putting together an event. A team gets together for an event. Your strengths for having teams is workers are happier. They're not doing everything by themselves. They have team members where they can disperse the amount of workload. Efficiency increases. You work faster. Maybe you don't forget certain tasks because you're working in a team and you have more individuals involved and dedicated. It enables a company to draw on the skills and imagination of a whole workforce. So I know with me, when I was a marketing director and we would do stuff, we would get in a team where the directors of every department would get together and have a meeting, and we'd do team collaborations. So the director of finance, director of operations, director of marketing, director of supply chain, maybe the director of IT, you all can become a team. Success depends on synergy. And again, I have a definition of that in here for those who may not know what that word means. Synergy is a situation in which the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Now there's stages of forming a group here. And this slide here is something that would be on a test or a quiz. So take note of this. Forming is when the members come together, they learn about each other, and they determine the purpose of the group. So it's like a meet and greet. Storming is when members start to engage in more direct communication. Maybe opinions are shared, ideas are shared, and this is kind of when conflicts tend to arise. Conflicts not necessarily meaning a bad thing. It could just be different ideas that are conflicting. Norming is when members establish spoken or unspoken rules about how they communicate and work. So you have your status, your rank, and your roles in the group are established. So maybe you decide, oh, that person's more of a leader, that person's more good at doing this sort of task, that person's the note taker. Kind of how when we do our breakout rooms, we're creating a team, right, in our breakout rooms. Performing, members fulfill their purpose and reach their goal. And adjourning is when members leave the group. So some group member roles, there's some positives and there's some negatives. The positive are the initiator, elaborator, coordinator, evaluator, and recorder. Some of the negative roles can be the dominator, recognition seeker, special interest pleader, the blocker, and the joker or clown. So to have a successful team environment, you have the ability to give and take constructive criticism. So you have to be honest and transparent enough to give the constructive criticism so that someone or an idea can improve. Don't worry about hurting people's feelings as long as you do it professionally. And you have to be able to take the constructive criticism because maybe one of your ideas could improve. So you can't take it personally either. Again, the person giving it to you needs to be professional as well. So breaking down emotional barriers, ability to promote team functioning, understanding the feelings and needs of coworkers. So if you're working on an idea for a certain department, you need to understand that department's needs and feelings. Overcoming cultural barriers. So if you work with a lot of different types of cultures, maybe you're putting on an event, you need to be able to work with those type of people. And applying leadership skills. Leadership skills are a key to your success. If you don't have them now, start developing now. In these breakout rooms, say, hey, I want to be the leader today. I want to try it. You're only going to get better with practice. So here's an example of an organization chart here. So we have the CEO at the top, finance team, technical team, HR, which is human resources, and administration teams. And these are the people underneath that particular director or team. So administration team, you're going to have an administration manager, senior manager, assistant manager, and staff. Technical team, you'll have a technical manager, senior manager, assistant manager, and staff. So that's kind of how it's broken up into this example here. Here's another example of an organization chart. So you have your CEO, which stands for Chief Executive Officer. You have your COO, CFO, VP of Marketing, so Vice President of Marketing, and then underneath Vice President of Marketing, you would have your Search Marketing Manager, Email Marketing Manager, and Webmaster. And maybe if it's a bigger company, you would even have a small team underneath all these three people as well. So here's another example there. VP of Sales, so his team is full of account executives, right? How many of you guys are in a work team right now? Have experienced that at work? Any of you out there? Have you seen an organization chart before? Maybe your name's in one? Okay, cool. So next we're going to do the next Zoom breakout session here. And while you guys are in the session, I'll get the link for the attendance again. All right, that's old one. Okay, so again with the breakout session, you have about, I say 20 to 30 seconds, but this is just our second one, so I'll give you guys more time. Introduce yourselves, get to know each other a little bit, do a little bit of networking, and then identify who your leader, presenter, and note taker is going to be. We will have time to actually present today since we're getting into this early. Remember, volunteering is courageous. And courage is a good quality. So here's where you guys start developing your leadership skills. The note taker will input all the student names first and last. Be sure to put the last name because there are students here with the same first name and they're grouped under the appropriate group number. And the question that we'll be discussing today is, think of a group of which you are a member of and identify some roles played by group members, including yourself. So whether it's a work group, a volunteer group, maybe it's a fun group, maybe it's your book club, or a school group. So think of a group which you are a member of and identify some roles played by group members, including yourself. Have your roles and those of others changed over time? Are some roles more positive than others? So an example would be, I'm actually on the board of the Alumni Association at Cal State San Marcos for the MBA chapter, which is the Master's Grad School chapter. And when I first joined, I was just like a member at large or a secretary, and we had a team and we each had a role. And after a year, a couple people's roles changed, including mine. I got moved up to vice president, so my role changed. So that's an example of that. After you guys discuss that for about 15 to 20 minutes, the presenter will recap what to share from the group to the entire class, and the note taker will confirm it has student names in the shared document. Now remember, when you present to the whole class, you only get 1 minute, so really think about what you're going to say and how quickly you're going to speak. And here are the breakout rooms if you keep scrolling down. Can everyone see that okay? Yeah, I will put the attendance doc link while you guys are in the breakout room, okay? So, get into your break. Okay, so let's start with group 1. Who is speaking? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi.
So you get 1 minute.
I am.
And it's harder than you think.
Okay, so we had 3 people in our group share an example of this. So, yeah, so Ryan's current role at YMCA, he was only lifeguard, and now he's helping train new employees that are lifeguards. So he's like, his role is changing, kind of like his responsibilities are changing. And then Nicole, she changed her entire career because she used to be a portfolio manager, and now she works as an assistant. So that's like a lot of role change, like responsibility changes. And then our last one who shared was Johnny. He works in construction and designs patio areas. So he said a lot of new people come in, and he has to work with a lot of new people, so he uses like communication skills, and they have to figure out like their roles in construction and stuff too. So
awesome, very good. Yeah. Just a couple questions here. So that was Ryan, Nicole, and Johnny. Anyone else? I'm gonna let you go over 1 minute. Anyone else? That's too quick. I want to hear about how all you guys are doing this.
I know. We just had kind of like some volunteers. Okay. I think. Yeah. That's fine. I think everybody getting know kind of what. I think a lot of people maybe are like full-time students and don't work too right now. So.
Okay.
I don't know.
Gotcha. And you guys will start being in teams in school too, so you'll get to know that. All right. Thank you. And you are Brianna. Thank you for being the spokesperson today. Okay. Breakout room number 2.
Hey everyone, I'm Jack. So basically we had 6 people in our group, and all 6 decided to share, so that was pretty cool. So first, Brianne, she was also our note taker, so that came up Clutch. She works at a martial arts studio. She is. I'm blanking on the word that or the term that you used before, but that flow chart.
Organization chart.
The station chart.
Organization. Yeah.
Organization chart. Thank you. She's probably the only one that has a legitimate looking like that because there's a CEO, CFO, and then she's an event planner, and then the program manager, receptionist, and all the way down to the instructors. And then Kai, who was our leader, who started off the conversation, he works at Bonds as a leader, and he basically oversees all the employees and making sure that everything gets done properly.
Mm-hmm.
Then myself, I work in construction as well. So there's the general contractor who goes to the bids, gets the jobs, and then the on-site supervisor who basically makes sure that everything goes smoothly, and then the workers. And one thing that I would add on to as before on the construction with communication is Spanish helps a lot.
So you're learning diversity and culture and languages. Yep.
Definitely. My Spanish is horrible, but I'm learning a lot more very quickly.
Nice.
And then Taylor spoke as well. She's in there's in the accounting department and then the support department and billing department. I'm sorry, Taylor, but I'm totally blanking on what it was that you were doing as when it pertains to your job. I apologize for that. Then Alex Hughes is actually trying to start his own marketing thing. He's the director of marketing. He has a Instagram that is out of, forgetting the location, but it's in Vista. And he's trying to become one of those data entry and accounts and one of those guys that makes their money on social media. So that's pretty cool.
Like an
And
influencer?
Tyler, not really an influencer. Like influencers make videos and all that stuff, but one of those marketing guys on Instagram and social media.
Okay.
And Tyler, he worked on a family farm, so there were the owners of the farm and then the owner's daughters, and then Tyler was basically working with other people and making sure that everything got done properly.
Nice. Good job. Great job on that, guys. That was perfect. Group 3.
Alright, so I'm Vaughn.
Hello.
And so what we talked about was, so I started off and I said I work at Chick-fil-A, and I mentioned that everyone has their own role, especially it goes for every workplace. Everyone has their own role. Like for me, I take orders and stuff like that, but there's also other roles, like who assigns the roles for the day. That's one of the roles, and so the roles change over time, and when people get promoted, their roles change. And I said sometimes roles can be more positive than others, and when you mentioned positive, I thought of it more as like more of an effective role. And so some roles can be more effective, as in the person who assigns the roles for the day is going to be more effective than just an order taker. And so also someone mentioned team meetings. This goes for work or even a team meeting that we just had right now. We all had roles: presenter, note taker, leader, and everyone's role wasn't more important than another role because they all needed to mash together to be so that we would actually get somewhere. And then outside of work and school, at the house, Boris mentioned how in a house people have different roles. For example, his mom will cook and take care of the kids, while Boris will do the chores around the house and help his mom out, like cleaning. And his dad, his role would be to bring in the money for the home. And so no role was more positive than the other role, and the fact that they all needed to get done for the household to work.
Great examples. Yep. Good job. Good job. And group number 4.
Hi, I'm Gabby. So in our breakout room, we just kind of discussed where everyone works, like what everyone's job is, and also how we've had to like deal with kind of changing our roles to fit like Corona protocol and everything now, and how we have to like deal with customers and stuff. And so one of our group members, I'm so sorry, I forget who, but one of our group members works at a bookstore at Cal State San Marcos, and everything has changed to like online ordering and everything, like curbside pickup, stuff like that. So it's not a lot of like face-to-face contact anymore, and so it's been weird trying to adjust to that. one of our group members works at a grocery store and everything, and the protocols there have changed, like wearing masks all the time, practicing social distancing, wiping down everything, like a lot more cleaning than usual, and so you kind of have to take on more responsibility now because of the virus that's going on and everything. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we talked about.
And then restaurants, looks like someone works at a restaurant too.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of like sanitizing everything, like making sure the customers are staying like social distanced. I'm the restaurant worker,
Oh.
so it's just kind of like I work at a smaller like restaurant kind of, and so there's only like 4 people allowed to wait inside like at a time, and so if there's more than 4 people inside the store, we have to tell them like, hey, can you guys like wait outside for your order? We'll have it out to you, like we'll bring it out to you if you want, but you can't be in the store. And then it's also like you have to stay a certain distance away from the registers, cleaning door handles, cleaning register screens. Even the workers have to be like socially distanced at their own stations. So your role can change like every day, but you have to stay at that station.
Now, pre-COVID, did your role change every day at the restaurant? Or is it
Yeah, pre-COVID, the manager just kind of assigned you like what he thought you were like best at, or what like you could like request kind of what you wanted. So I'm mostly on like register, or like I work at Jamba Juice, so I usually work at register. I like make smoothies or something. But we have register, smoothie making. We have the pour station where you just like take it out of the blender and pour it. And then we have dishwashing. So those are our main stations that you can be at.
All right, great. Good job, guys. Breakout group 5.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marco Gonzalez, and I will be presenting for Group 5. And we took a little bit of a different approach. We went ahead and discussed the roles, how they have changed, and how we have adjusted due to COVID.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and start with Zoe, who she normally played Dungeons & Dragons with her friends. They played face-to-face, and they had to adjust and play virtually to continue doing something that they enjoyed. Then we had Nate, who his group, you know, his friends, they kind of have adjusted as well, like their whole relationship. And they had to switch to online interactions by going in person, just to, they're trying to do their part to eliminate this epidemic or pandemic. Chris, he has a son, so like he described the role of how his son has changed in regards to sports, how it affects him as far as, you know, when it comes to hockey, basketball, any contact sport, obviously that's not allowed right now, and just his relationship and role as a father has changed drastically. For myself, I was a Marine Corps recruiter in Las Vegas, and my command was in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we used to have to do presentations constantly on a monthly basis. I had to travel out there and do face-to-face interactions with my commanders, and that switched over to conference via Zoom. So same thing with any universities. I myself, I recruited officers, so any university interactions, those all have to change via Zoom.
So, and then there was the last one, the gym. Something about gym.
So, yes, my group is into the gym, and that's kind of a part of what was in our lives. We all enjoy it, and we've had to adjust outside of that. We didn't discuss too much on this, but for myself, I had to build my own little gym at my house and just go from there. I didn't have the essential tools to continue to stay fit or in shape, so I had to order a lot of materials and just go on runs and hikes, and try to eliminate myself getting into a stagnant status.
Good job. So, yeah, with Nate here, with his group of friends, I'm sure there's still roles, right? Someone had to organize the online interaction. Someone had to set up the Zoom. Someone, like, figured out maybe if there was a theme or a topic. Similar. Yeah, so even with friends, you guys have teams and roles and groups. All right. Breakout room 6. Was there only one person in that group? Who's Rob? I thought we only had 5 groups. Rob, are you here? Okay, so we'll skip that. So we got 5 groups here. All right, so that's it for the breakout, and just want to go over real quick on what was due. So really easy week. You just had your check-in. That's all been graded. Easy points right there. Just kind of introduce yourself, get to know each other. Week 2, your check-in, your study buddy. I love all your study buddies, and I think it's great to see a variety. It's not just pets. Some people put music or like background TV. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So your next 2 assignments are discussions, and there'll be instructions in each discussion on what you need to post. And then you always need to respond to 2 other people's posts to get the discussion and interaction and engagement going. And don't just post back, oh, I agree, like half a sentence, 1 sentence. Actually read what that person wrote and actually engage and respond back to it. Why do you agree with that? Why did you disagree? Or, oh, that's a new idea and opinion. Like, go back and forth and actually engage. So again, you guys have a whole week to do this. It's not due until September 11th, next Friday. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to email me. In the next few days, I'll be posting week 3 here for you guys. So for those that maybe want to work ahead just a little bit, when I'm done with this video, I'll upload it to YouTube and add the video link to your week 2 resource page. And week 3, moving forward, we'll be talking about interpersonal and group communications is next. So your discussion will be interpersonal and group communication, body language, and you'll be your first quiz. Okay? Don't worry too much about their quiz. They're open book. As long as you're paying attention and listening to the lectures, review the slides before you take the quiz, it should be a piece of cake, okay? I'm not a huge test person. I rather have you guys put more effort into writing assignments and discussions where you're actually thinking, okay? Instead of a test where you're going to forget it 5 minutes later. So don't stress too much about the quizzes, but you do have to take them on time, okay? Any questions before we wrap up? And you guys have my office hours now, if you guys have a question. Okay, you guys
If we're interested,
Yeah.
if we're interested in office hours, do we just send you an email or what?
Yeah, you can either show up to the scheduled office hours, which are going to be on Thursdays before this class, or if you need to meet with me ahead of time, or maybe you work during that time, just shoot me an email and we can set up a separate one. Yeah.
The link for the attendance isn't letting me open it.
Anyone else having that problem? Wait,
It takes me like the Google search.
Google search.
Yeah, when I put it in the address bar.
Okay.